I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey, you guys, and welcome back to the News du Jour. I can't believe it is my second to last episode before my maternity leave. This just I'm heartbroken to have to move up this date, and it really bums me out. But at the same time, I have no doubt in my mind that it's the right decision because my health I've just been really, really struggling lately, and there's nothing, unfortunately, medically we can do right now other than ride this out. And so, unfortunately, I'm having to make lifestyle changes and really just downshift everything that I'm working on. So I appreciate everyone's understanding. And, while I am really sad, I know that work can wait and that my number one responsibility right now is taking care of this baby. And so that's what I'm going to do. But that said, I wanted to say a huge thank you because we actually just hit 40,000 downloads today. And so you got to celebrate the small wins, and I feel like it's just kind of the perfect send off for right now. And I said this in my post on Instagram, but I have so many ideas of how this podcast is going to come back new and improved, and I'm really excited for you guys to see them and to just give the whole thing a facelift. But it's going to be the same show, pretty much just new and improved on the flip side, and that will be coming back late August, early September. So stay tuned for that, and without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the news for today. So first up, we're discussing some stories about Ukraine. So Germany sends weapons to Ukraine. So after a lot of pressure from other nations in the West, Germany has opted to send heavy military machinery to Ukraine. This is a debate that Germany has been having internally, within their own government, and they finally came to a decision on it. They are sending 50 very large vehicles as well as ammunition and some smaller weapons over to Ukraine to help out with the war. The UN is also sending $1.25 billion in humanitarian aid to Ukraine. That's an announcement made as of yesterday. So this is a little more than half of what they had asked for. And the other half, I know the US is sending humanitarian aid. There's probably other countries that are as well. So that may make up for at least some of the other half of it. But yeah, again, this is over half of what they had asked for. So we're getting there. And next up in news about Ukraine, Russia shuts off pipeline to Poland and Bulgaria. So Russia has decided to retaliate against Poland and Bulgaria for their efforts to aid Ukraine by shutting off their natural gas pipeline. Now, this will certainly affect both of those countries, Poland and Bulgaria, but it will also affect Russia too, as they're no longer going to have that income. And what's more, these countries will now be forced to find alternative methods of supplying energy for their citizens. And long term, that could help them move away from their toxic relationship with Russia because they may find better alternatives. No one really loved being involved with Russia economically anyway, and now they have the push they've needed to move away from them, and Russia is getting further isolated by the day. And next up, Russia has lost 15,000 troops. So, according to the British Defense Secretary's estimates, about 15,000 Russian troops have been killed in the war to take Ukraine. Ukraine believes it's actually closer to 22,000 Russian troops who have died. Russia's estimates are about 11 times lower than even what the Brits are estimating. So this obviously just shows the power of rhetoric and how numbers are just not an exact science during wartime. But what's important to note is that in Russia, military casualties are actually classified as state secrets under Russian law. So the government actually has no legal obligation to tell the Russian people how many troops have died or to make sure that that estimate is accurate. So, because they don't have that legal responsibility, they probably won't. So the Russian people may never know exactly how many of their troops they've lost. And lastly, for today, we're going over a prisoner swap between U.S. and Russia. So Trevor Reed is a former U.S. Marine who was convicted in Russia for what was likely bogus charges back in 2019. So Russian officials claimed that Trevor assaulted two police officers after a night of drinking with his Russian girlfriend in a park. But the courts gave him a much harsher punishment than has ever been seen for such a charge, even if he had done what they claimed that he did do. His family has been adamant that the charges are bogus and concerned for his health while he was imprisoned in Russia. He was actually put in solitary confinement for a lot of his time in prison, and he was not allowed to call home, receive letters or books, and eventually he began a hunger strike to call attention to the treatment that he was receiving there. There are, of course, more Americans who are imprisoned in Russia, including the women's basketball star Brittany Griner, but the U.S. exchanged Trevor Reed for a Russian pilot charged with cocaine trafficking named Victor Bout. So Victor Bout is a guy that Russia has been trying to get freed from an American prison for quite some time as well. So we did a 1-for-1 exchange, and actually a lot of diplomats are saying like, hey, like this is actually like some progress. Like we actually came to an agreement here, made some like decisions, took some action, so this is actually considered to be a positive step. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit."
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider becoming a patron of our podcast. For $7.99 a month, you can unlock tons of perks like breaking news text messages so that you're never out of the loop. Tons of bonus episodes are already up there ready for you to binge, and a discussion board full of networking opportunities and much more. Go to www.patreon.com/sugarfree media today to become a patron. This is the best way to support our show. Our patrons make News du Jour possible. But a couple other ways to support our podcast are rate and review on whatever podcast platform you use to listen, share on your social media, you have influence, tell your friends, family, and colleagues that you love News du Jour and why you listen. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram, just sugarfreemedia, all one word, on TikTok, and sugarfree_media on Twitter. We also have a weekend newsletter called Dreamers Digest that's full of dreamy content recommendations for your weekend and a life update from yours truly. Sign up today on our website, www.sugarfreemedia.co. Our music is by Joey Lavoie and Nicholas Foster. Our cover art is by Hannah Pierce Photography. Our Sugar-Free Media logo is by Catherine Jessic Designs. Any twinkling or little footsteps you might hear in the background are by my dog, Rhett. He's a rescue pup and always records with me. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour. Broadcasting from Oklahoma.